Victoria Chase slammed her fist on the conference table, and 40 investors flinched. The server room was dying. $200 million burning in real time. Her engineer stood frozen, useless. Then she saw him. Marcus Reed, the maintenance man in the corner with grease-stained hands and quiet eyes. She crossed the room in 4 strides, her Louboutins clicking like a countdown. You. Her voice cut through the panic. You think you can fix what engineers with doctorates can't? She leaned in close enough that he could smell her perfume and her desperation. Fix it in 90 minutes and I'll kiss you. Right here. In front of everyone. Marcus looked at her like she'd lost her mind. Deal. But I don't want your kiss. I want your respect. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and stick with me until the end of this story. Drop a comment with your city. I want to see how far this journey travels. Now let's begin. The emergency lights cast shadows across Victoria Chase's face, making her look like a warrior queen presiding over a massacre. And in a way she was. Phoenix Global Tech's flagship AI demonstration was supposed to revolutionize military defense systems. Instead, their central cooling system had catastrophically failed, and every server in the building was cooking itself to death. Talk to me, she snapped at her lead engineer. How bad? Dr. Philip Anderson wiped sweat from his forehead. 20 minutes until permanent data loss. Maybe 30 if we're lucky. We've tried everything. The backup cooling won't engage. The manual override is fried. We'd need to rebuild the entire system from scratch, and that takes hours we don't have. Unacceptable. Victoria's voice was ice, but Marcus Reed, watching from his position near the electrical panel, could see the tremor in her hands. She was terrified. Good. She should be. He'd been called up to the executive level to replace a faulty outlet, standard maintenance work. But when the cooling system died and the backup generator failed to kick in, every engineer in the building had panicked. Marcus had stayed quiet, observing, because that's what 20 years in the Navy had taught him. Panic kills. Observation saves lives. Ma'am. One of the board members stood up. Richard Chase, her uncle. Marcus had heard the gossip. Richard thought he should be running Phoenix Global, not his niece. We need to evacuate the servers. Move them to a different facility. Cut our losses. That would take 3 hours minimum, Victoria said. We'd lose everything. 5 years of development. Every contract. Every investor in this room. Better than losing the entire company when the servers explode. They're not going to explode, Richard. But her voice wavered. That's when Marcus spoke. They won't explode. But they will fail. You've got 18 minutes now. Maybe less. Every head turned to look at him. He was used to that. Used to being invisible until something broke, then suddenly becoming very visible, very briefly, until the problem was fixed and he disappeared again. Victoria's eyes locked on his. Who are you? Marcus Reed. Facilities maintenance. And you know this how? Because I can hear it. The cooling system's compressor is seized. Your backup generator didn't fail. It never engaged because the relay switch is corroded. I saw it last week during routine inspection. Put in a work order. Nobody fixed it. Silence. Then Richard laughed. We're taking technical advice from a janitor now. Maintenance technician, Marcus corrected. His voice was calm, but his jaw was tight. And yeah, you should. Because I know more about the systems in this building than anyone else here. Victoria studied him. Marcus met her gaze without flinching. He'd stared down Taliban fighters in Kandahar. A corporate ice queen didn't intimidate him. Fine, she said suddenly. You're so confident. Prove it. Excuse me. She walked toward him. Slowly. Deliberately. Her designer suit probably cost more than his monthly rent. Her perfume probably cost more than his daughter's medication. She stopped inches from him, close enough that he could see the desperation behind her cold exterior. Fix it, she said. 90 minutes, before the system crashes. Do that, and I'll kiss you. Right here. in front of every investor, every board member, every engineer who thinks maintenance workers are beneath them. The room erupted. Investors murmured. Engineers protested. Richard's face turned purple. "Victoria, this is insane." "Shut up, Richard." She didn't look away from Marcus. "Well, think you can do it?" Marcus should have walked away, should have refused the humiliation of being used as a prop in whatever power game she was playing. But then he thought about Lily, about the insulin he couldn't afford, about the eviction notice in his truck, about working himself to death at 3 different jobs and still falling behind. "I can do it," he said quietly. "But I don't want your kiss. I want something else. Name it. Respect. For me. For every person in this building you walk past without seeing. For every worker you treat like furniture. Fix it in 90 minutes, you said I'll fix it in 60. And when I do, you'll look me in the eye and tell me I matter. That's the deal." Victoria blinked. For just a second her mask cracked and he saw something underneath. Surprise. Maybe shame. Then it was gone. "Deal," she said. Marcus nodded. "I'll need access to the mechanical room. Unrestricted, and I'll need these engineers to stay out of my way." "Done." Victoria turned to Dr. Anderson. "Give him whatever he needs. Everyone else sit down and shut up. We're about to find out if the maintenance man is as good as he thinks he is." Marcus grabbed his toolkit and headed for the door. Behind him he heard Richard hiss, "You just bet the company on a janitor. Your father would be ashamed." "My father's dead," Victoria snapped back. "And right now the janitor is our only hope. So pray he's as smart as he sounds." The mechanical room was a disaster. Marcus had tried to tell management for months that the cooling system needed maintenance. The compressor was old, the wiring was corroded, the backup relay was failing. But maintenance didn't matter until something broke. That was the rule. Prevention was invisible. Crisis was profitable. He opened the main panel and started diagnosing. The compressor was seized just as he'd suspected. The relay switch was corroded beyond repair, and the backup generator had failed to engage because someone had bypassed the safety switch during the last inspection. Sabotage. Maybe. Or just incompetence. Either way, it didn't matter now. He had 60 minutes. No 58 now. His phone buzzed. Lily. "Dad, are you coming home soon? I'm hungry." His chest tightened. "Soon, baby. There's chicken nuggets in the freezer. Can you heat them up?" "By myself." "You're 9 now. Big girl, you can do it. Just be careful with the microwave, okay?" "Okay. Love you, Daddy." "Love you too, Ellie Bell." He hung up and got back to work. Lily didn't know they were 3 days from eviction. Didn't know her father was working 16-hour days and still couldn't keep up with her medical bills. Didn't know that juvenile diabetes meant choosing between insulin and electricity some months. She just knew Dad always came home, always tucked her in, always made everything okay. So he would. He'd fix this generator, get paid overtime, buy groceries, keep them afloat for another week, 55 minutes. He bypassed the corroded relay, rerouted power through a secondary circuit, found a spare compressor motor in storage and swapped it in. His hands moved with muscle memory from 2 decades of emergency repairs in war zones where failure meant people died. This wasn't life or death, this was just money. But money meant food. Food meant Lily. So it was life or death after all. Back in the conference room, Victoria was dying slowly. Every minute felt like an hour. The investors were restless. Richard was gloating. The servers were heating up their cooling fans, screaming like dying animals. 20 minutes, Dr. Anderson said. Core temperature is critical. We need to shut down now or risk permanent damage. No, Victoria said. Victoria. I said no. He has 60 minutes. We wait. You're gambling the entire company on a maintenance worker. I'm gambling on someone who actually understands the systems in this building. Unlike the engineers I pay 6 figures who couldn't diagnose the problem. Dr. Anderson's face flushed. That's not fair. Fair. Victoria laughed. It was a bitter sound. Fair is a fairy tale we tell children. This is business, and right now the maintenance man is our best bet. So, we wait. Richard stood up. I'm calling a board vote. Victoria Chase is unfit to lead this company. She's making decisions based on emotion rather than logic. I move for her immediate removal as CEO. Sit down, Richard. Victoria's voice was steel. I will not sit down while you destroy everything your father built. My father built a company on the backs of people he never saw. People he used and discarded. People like Marcus Reed who keep this place running while you collect dividends and complain. Victoria stood up, her hands flat on the table. You want to vote me out, fine. But you'll do it after we see if he can fix it. Because if he can, it proves something I've suspected for years. What's that? That the people we dismiss as invisible are often the most valuable, and that includes me. So sit down and wait, or get out. Richard sat down, but the look he gave her promised retribution. 40 minutes left. Marcus was covered in grease and sweat. The compressor was in. The relay was bypassed. The backup generator was engaging. But there was a problem. The main cooling line had a crack, probably from thermal stress during the failure. It was leaking coolant, slowly, steadily. If he turned the system on now, the leak would become a rupture. The whole thing would fail again in minutes. He needed to patch it, but the only sealant that would work required 30 minutes to cure, and he had 37 minutes left. It would be close. Too close. His phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then he thought of Lily and picked up. Mr. Reed. This is Clara Mendez from Children's Hospital. We have Lily here. She collapsed at home. Her blood sugar crashed. The neighbor called 911. She's stable now, but she needs you. The world stopped. I'm on my way. He hung up, stared at the cooling system, at the patch that needed 29 more minutes to cure, at the choice between his daughter and the job. There was no choice. He grabbed his tools and ran. Victoria was watching the clock. 28 minutes. The servers were screaming. The temperature was climbing, and Marcus Reed hadn't come back. He ran, Richard said. He sounded victorious. Your janitor ran away, probably realized he couldn't do it, and saved himself the humiliation. He didn't run, but Victoria's voice was uncertain. Then where is he? She didn't have an answer. 25 minutes. The door burst open. Marcus was there, breathing hard, his face pale. It's done, he said. But I need 20 more minutes for the sealant to cure. If we turn it on before, then it'll fail. We don't have 20 minutes, Dr. Anderson said. We have 15 at most. Marcus looked at Victoria. Then we gamble. Turn it on. Now hope the patch holds long enough for the coolant to circulate and drop the temperature. Or wait 20 minutes and lose everything for certain. What are the odds the patch holds? 60%, maybe. And if it doesn't, the system ruptures. We lose it all anyway. Victoria closed her eyes. This was it. The moment her father had always warned her about. The moment when logic failed and all you had was gut instinct. Where did you go? She asked suddenly. Marcus hesitated. My daughter. She's in the hospital. Emergency. I had to make sure she was stable before I came back. Is she okay? For now. Victoria opened her eyes, looked at this man who'd left a job to check on his daughter, who'd come back even though he could have walked away, who was standing here with grease-stained hands offering her a 60% chance at survival. Turn it on, she said. Victoria, Richard started. Turn it on, now. Marcus nodded, pulled out his phone, called the mechanical room where he'd rigged a remote switch. Do it. The room held its breath. For 10 seconds nothing happened. Then, the cooling fans changed pitch. The temperature gauges started dropping. The server's screaming diminished to a hum. It was working. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. The temperature was dropping steadily. The servers were stabilizing. The system was holding. Victoria exhaled for the first time in an hour. Temperature at critical safe levels, Dr. Anderson said. His voice was shaking. "It's working. The patch is holding." The room erupted in applause. Investors cheered. Engineers high-fived. Richard looked like he'd swallowed glass. Victoria walked over to Marcus. He stood there exhausted, filthy, worried about his daughter. "You did it," she said. "Yeah." "In 53 minutes. You beat your own estimate." "Had to get back to the hospital." She nodded, looked at him, really looked at him, at the calluses on his hands, the gray in his hair, the worry lines around his eyes, at a man who'd probably been invisible to her every day he'd worked in this building. "Marcus Reed," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "You saved this company today. You saved my demonstration. You saved $200 million in contracts. And you did it because you understand these systems better than anyone else in this room." He shifted uncomfortably. "Just doing my job." "No, you did everyone else's job when they failed. And you did it while worrying about your daughter. That's not just doing your job. That's being exceptional." She took a breath. "You asked for respect. You have it. From me. From everyone here. You matter, Marcus Reed. You and every person like you who keeps this place running while people like me take credit. Thank you." The room was silent. Marcus nodded. "I need to go. My daughter." "Go." "Of course. And Marcus, when you come back tomorrow, come to my office. We need to talk about your position here, because you're wasted in maintenance." He looked at her warily. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm tired of good people being invisible. It means things are going to change, starting with you." "I don't need charity." "It's not charity. It's overdue recognition. We'll talk tomorrow. Go be with your daughter." He left. The room slowly emptied. Investors went to celebrate. Engineers went to check the servers. Richard lingered, his face dark with fury. "You made a fool of yourself," he said quietly. "Betting the company on a janitor, offering to kiss him like some desperate... Get out, Richard. You're weak, just like your mother was weak. Your father knew it. That's why he never trusted you with..." "I said get out." Victoria's voice was quiet, but lethal. "And Richard, that vote you wanted? Go ahead and call it. Let's see how the board feels about the CEO who just saved the company versus the COO who wanted to abandon ship." Richard left without another word. Victoria stood alone in the empty conference room, her hands shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. She'd bet everything on a maintenance worker's competence and won. But more than that, she'd seen something in Marcus Reed's eyes. Something that terrified her. Integrity. Dignity. Strength that had nothing to do with money or power. The kind of strength she'd spent her whole life believing didn't exist. She pulled out her phone. Googled Children's Hospital Seattle. Called the main desk. "I'm calling about Lily Reed. She was brought in earlier today. She paused. "What was she? I'm a friend of the family. Is she okay?" "Let me check. Are you family?" "No. But then I can't release information. Privacy laws. I'm sorry." Victoria hung up. She had the CEO of a tech company. She had contacts. Power, money. She could find out anything she wanted. But something stopped her. Marcus Reed had come back to finish the job even though his daughter was in the hospital. He'd honored his word, his integrity. The least she could do was honor his privacy. She'd talk to him tomorrow, make things right. Maybe offer him a real position, engineering consultant, facilities manager, something that paid what he was worth. That was the logical thing to do. But as she drove home to her empty penthouse that night, Victoria couldn't stop thinking about the look in his eyes when he'd said, "I don't want your kiss. I want your respect." Nobody had ever refused her before. Nobody had ever asked for something she didn't know how to give. Respect. For a maintenance worker. For someone beneath her station. Except he wasn't beneath her. That was the problem. He'd just proven he was more competent, more reliable, more honorable than anyone in that conference room. Including her. She parked in her private garage, took the elevator to the penthouse. poured herself a whiskey, and stood at the window overlooking Seattle. Somewhere out there, Marcus Reed was sitting in a hospital room with his sick daughter. Probably couldn't afford the bills. Probably terrified. Probably alone. And she was here. In luxury. In safety. In crushing, suffocating loneliness. She raised her glass to the skyline. "To invisible people," she said to no one. "May they keep fixing what people like me break." Then she drank alone and tried not to think about why a maintenance worker's opinion of her suddenly mattered more than all the investors in the world. At the hospital, Marcus sat beside Lily's bed, holding her small hand. She was asleep now. Her blood sugar stabilized her breathing even. But it had been close. Too close. The nurse had said it was lucky the neighbor heard the crash and called 911. Lucky Lily had her emergency glucagon kit. Lucky the paramedics got there fast. Marcus didn't believe in luck anymore. He believed in probability. And the probability was that someday his luck would run out. Someday, Lily would crash when he wasn't there, and no neighbor was home, and the paramedics were delayed in traffic. Someday, he'd lose her just like he'd lost Sarah. Dad. He jerked awake. Hadn't realized he'd dozed off. "Hey, Ellie Bell, how you feeling?" "Tired. Hungry." "The nurse said you can eat soon. They just want to make sure your sugar stays stable." "Did I mess up? Did I forget to check my levels?" "No, baby. You didn't mess up. Your body just decided to be difficult. Happens sometimes." She nodded. Quiet. Then, "Why were you at work so late?" He debated lying. Decided on truth. Had to fix something important. Big emergency. The kind where if I didn't fix it, a lot of people would lose their jobs. "Did you fix it?" "Yeah." "Of course you did. You're the best fixer in the world." He kissed her forehead. "And you're the best daughter, which means we're a pretty good team." "Dad, when I grow up, I want to be an engineer, like you used to be, before Mom left." His chest tightened. "Your mom didn't leave Ellie. She died. Car accident. Remember?" "I know, but she left too, before she died." "That's what Aunt Marie said. She said Mom couldn't handle being a mom, so she was going to leave anyway, and the car accident just made it official." Marcus closed his eyes. His sister had no filter. Never had. And now she'd planted poison in his daughter's head. "Your mom loved you very much," he said carefully. "She had a hard time after you were born. Sometimes that happens. It's called postpartum depression. It makes your brain tell you lies about yourself and the people you love. She was getting help. She was getting better. And yeah, we were having problems. But she didn't want to leave you, ever. The accident was just a tragedy, not a choice. Do you still miss her?" "Every day. But I'm grateful for what she gave me. You." Lily smiled, squeezed his hand. "The lady on the phone sounded nice. When she called you at work." "What lady?" "The one who called you from the hospital. She sounded worried about me, like she knew me." Marcus frowned. "That was probably the nurse." "No. This was before. She said her name was Victoria." Ice shot through his veins. "Victoria Chase called you." "I don't know her last name, but she asked if I was okay. If I needed anything. I said I was fine. Was that bad?" "No, that was fine." But his mind was racing. Victoria Chase had called his daughter. How did she even get the number? Why would she? He filed it away. Deal with it tomorrow. Right now, Lily needed him. "Get some sleep, Ellie. I'll be right here. Promise." Promise. She closed her eyes. Within minutes, she was breathing deep and even. Marcus sat back in the uncomfortable hospital chair and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, he had to go back to Phoenix Global. Had to face Victoria Chase and whatever she wanted to talk about. Part of him wanted to refuse. Walk away. Find another job where he could be invisible again. But another part of him, the part that had stared down the Ice Queen of Tech and told her he mattered, that part wanted to see what happened next. Because for the first time in 7 years, someone had seen him. Really seen him. Not as maintenance, not as a paycheck, but as a person. And Victoria Chase, the woman who'd tried to humiliate him with a bet, had ended up giving him something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Which terrified him more than any generator failure ever could. Marcus didn't sleep that night. By morning, Lily was stable enough to go home, and he'd made arrangements with his neighbor Mrs. Park to watch her while he went to work. He couldn't afford to miss a shift. Couldn't afford the hospital bill either, but that was tomorrow's problem. Victoria's office was on the top floor. He'd never been up there. Maintenance workers used the service elevator, stayed in the basement, and mechanical rooms existed in the spaces between the important people. Her assistant, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, looked him up and down. "You're Marcus Reed." "Yes, ma'am." "She's been waiting for you since 7. Go right in." He knocked. Heard her voice crisp and professional. "Come in." Victoria stood by the window, her back to him. She was wearing another designer suit, this one navy blue. Her hair was pulled back in that severe bun. She looked like she belonged on the cover of Forbes, not talking to a maintenance worker. "Close the door," she said without turning around. He did. "How's your daughter?" The question surprised him. "She's okay. Home now. Thank you for asking." "You said she has juvenile diabetes." "Yes." "That's expensive to manage." "Yes." Where was this going? She turned around. There were shadows under her eyes. She hadn't slept either. "I looked into your file last night. You've worked here for 3 years. You have a mechanical engineering degree from MIT. You served 20 years in the Navy, made it to lieutenant commander. You designed power systems for aircraft carriers. And now you're changing light bulbs and fixing toilets for $18 an hour." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I have a daughter who needs me home every night. The Navy doesn't offer that schedule, neither do engineering firms." "So you took a massive pay cut to be a present father." "That's what parents do." "No," Victoria said. "That's what good parents do. Most people would have chosen the career, the money, the prestige. Most people didn't watch their wife die and promise her with her last breath that their daughter would never feel abandoned." The words hung in the air. Victoria flinched like he'd slapped her. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I didn't know." "Why would you? I'm just the maintenance guy." He couldn't keep the bitterness out of his voice. "Look, you said we needed to talk. So talk. I've got work to do." "You're angry." "I'm tired. My daughter almost died last night. I'm looking at a hospital bill I can't pay. And I'm standing in the CEO's office being reminded of everything I gave up. So, yeah, maybe I'm a little angry." Victoria nodded slowly, walked to her desk, pulled out a folder. "This is a job offer. Facilities director. Salary of $120,000 a year. Full benefits including platinum health insurance that would cover 100% of your daughter's medical needs. Flexible hours. You'd oversee all building operations, manage a team of 12, report directly to me." Marcus stared at the folder like it might bite him. "Why?" "Because you're wasted in maintenance. Because yesterday you did what a team of engineers couldn't. Because I need people who actually understand how things work, not just people with fancy degrees." "I have a fancy degree. And you're not using it. This offer fixes that." He didn't touch the folder. "What's the catch?" "No catch." "There's always a catch. Rich people don't just hand out 6-figure jobs to maintenance workers out of the goodness of their hearts." Her eyes flashed. "You don't know anything about my heart." "You're right, I don't. I know you tried to humiliate me yesterday, made a public bet designed to put me in my place. Whether I succeeded or failed, I was still just the performing monkey." "That's not—" She stopped, took a breath. "You're right. That's exactly what I did. And I'm sorry. I was desperate and scared and I handled it terribly. This job offer is my apology." "I don't want your apology in the form of charity." "It's not charity, Marcus. I need someone who can actually fix things in this building. Someone who understands the systems. Someone I can trust to tell me the truth instead of what I want to hear. That's you. You barely know me. I know you came back yesterday, even though your daughter was in the hospital. I know you kept your word when walking away would have been easier. I know you asked for respect instead of money. That tells me more about your character than any resume. Marcus picked up the folder, opened it, read the numbers. His hands started shaking. This salary would change everything. Lily's medical care, their apartment, food that wasn't ramen and frozen nuggets, a future that didn't involve choosing between insulin and electricity. There's something else, Victoria said. She pulled out another piece of paper. This is a check for $50,000. It's not part of the job. It's a signing bonus. Use it however you need. Hospital bills, rent, your daughter's care. No strings. I can't accept this. Why not? Because I don't trust it. Because people like you don't help people like me unless they want something. People like me, Victoria repeated. You mean rich people? Powerful people, CEOs. I mean people who've never had to choose between groceries and medicine, who've never stood in a pharmacy arguing about insurance coverage while their kid cries in the car, who've never been invisible their entire lives, and then suddenly visible because you need something. You're right. Her voice was soft. I've never experienced any of that. I grew up with everything: money, education, opportunity, and it made me blind, made me think that the people who keep this building running, who make my life possible, were somehow less important than me. She met his eyes. But yesterday you showed me I was wrong. You showed me that competence and character have nothing to do with title or salary. So yes, I'm trying to fix my mistake. Is that so terrible? It is if you're doing it to make yourself feel better. Maybe I am. Maybe that's part of it. But mostly I'm doing it because it's right. And because I don't want to be the person who's too proud to admit when she's wrong. Marcus looked at the check. $50,000. It was more money than he'd seen in one place since leaving the Navy. It was salvation. It was also terrifying. If I take this job, he said slowly, I'm not going to be grateful. I'm not going to worship you. I'm not going to pretend that one good deed erases years of people like me being treated like we're invisible. I wouldn't want you to. And I'm not going to change who I am. I'll still eat lunch with the janitors. I'll still help the security guards with their cars. I'll still be the guy who came from nothing. Good. That's exactly who I need you to be. He set the check down on her desk. I'll take the job, but not the bonus. Pay me what I'm worth, fine. But I won't take charity. It's not. To you it's not. To me it is. I'll earn my way or not at all. Victoria stared at him for a long moment. Then she picked up the check and tore it in half. Fine. Stubborn pride I can respect. When can you start? I need 2 weeks to transition my current duties. Train my replacement. Take 3 weeks. Spend time with your daughter. Make sure she's stable. Your first priority is your family, always. Something in his chest loosened. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just show up and do the job I'm hiring you for. She held out her hand. Deal? He shook it. Her hand was soft manicured, nothing like his calloused palm, but her grip was firm, real. Deal. He turned to leave. Her voice stopped him at the door. Marcus, why did you call her my daughter? She didn't turn around. Because I wanted to make sure she was okay. How did you get her number? I'm the CEO. I have access to employee files, including emergency contacts. That's an abuse of power. Yes, it was. I'm sorry. Why did you do it? Now she turned, looked at him. Because you left to check on her in the middle of the most important job of your career. Because any father who'd do that deserves to know his daughter is safe. Because... She stopped, started again. Because I know what it's like to have a parent who didn't choose you. And I wanted Lily to know that someone did, even if that someone was a stranger. Marcus's throat tightened. Don't call her again. I won't. But thank you For caring enough to check. He left before she could respond. Victoria stood alone in her office, staring at the torn check on her desk. She'd just hired a man who didn't want her money, didn't trust her motives, and barely tolerated her presence. Her father would have fired him on the spot, would have said pride like that was dangerous. Insubordination. But Victoria wasn't her father. And Marcus Reed's pride wasn't insubordination. It was integrity. Something she'd surrounded herself with so rarely that she'd almost forgotten what it looked like. Her phone buzzed. Richard. I heard you hired the janitor as facilities director. Are you insane? His name is Marcus Reed. He has more qualifications than half our engineering team. And yes, I hired him. Problem? The board is going to have questions. The board can ask me directly. Anything else? Silence. Then, you're making enemies, Victoria. People who matter. Good. I was getting bored with friends who don't. She hung up. That afternoon, Marcus cleaned out his maintenance locker. His replacement, a kid named Tommy, who'd just graduated trade school, watched nervously. So, you're like a big deal now. I'm the same guy I was yesterday, just with a different title. But you're going to be my boss. That's weird. I'm going to be everyone's boss. That's terrifying. Marcus handed Tommy his toolkit. This is yours now. Take care of it. These tools have saved my life more than once. Literally. Literally. Afghanistan, forward operating base. Generator failed during surgery. No power meant soldier dies. Fixed it with these tools while under fire. He pointed to a scar on the wrench. That's from shrapnel. Keep it. Remember that maintenance work isn't just about fixing things. It's about keeping people safe. Tommy took the toolkit like it was holy. I won't let you down. Don't let yourself down. That's all that matters. Marcus left through the service entrance one last time, walked past the dumpsters and loading docks where he'd spent 3 years being invisible. Tomorrow, he'd use the front entrance, take the executive elevator, sit in meetings with people who'd never spoken to him before. Everything was changing. He should have been happy. Instead, he was terrified. At home, Lily was watching robotics videos on YouTube. Mrs. Park had made dinner and left it in the fridge with a note that Marcus owed her nothing because watching Lily was her pleasure, not a burden. How was work, Dad? Interesting. I got a new job. Lily paused the video. What kind of job? Facilities director. It means I'll be managing all the building operations instead of just fixing things. Does it pay more? A lot more. Does it mean you'll be gone more? And there it was. The question he'd been dreading. No, actually, it means I'll have more flexibility, more control over my schedule. I'll be home more, not less. Promise. Promise. She smiled, went back to her video. Marcus sat next to her watching a 15-year-old explain circuit design to 500,000 subscribers. Lily wanted to be an engineer, wanted to build robots that could help people, wanted to change the world. She would. He'd make sure of it. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then thought of yesterday and answered. Mr. Reed. This is Dr. Sarah Chen from Phoenix Global. I'm VP of Engineering. I wanted to introduce myself since we'll be working together now. Nice to meet you. I also wanted to apologize for yesterday, for standing there while Victoria made that bet. I should have said something. Should have stopped her. It was inappropriate. It worked out. It could have gone very differently, and that's on all of us who just watched. She paused. I'm glad you took the position. We need people who actually understand how things work instead of just theorizing about them. Thank you, Dr. Chen. Sarah, please, we're colleagues now. Another pause. Also, fair warning. Richard Chase is not happy about your promotion. He's been making calls, trying to undermine you before you even start. Marcus's stomach sank. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know what you're walking into. And because I'm tired of men like Richard running this company into the ground while good people get overlooked. What do you suggest I do? Document everything. Keep records. Don't give him ammunition. And trust Victoria. She's not perfect, but she's trying to change things. She needs allies. So do you. I'm not good at corporate politics. Neither am I. That's why we'll get along. She laughed. Welcome to the executive level, Marcus. It's a war zone up here. Good thing you're trained for combat. She hung up. Marcus sat there, phone in hand, dread settling in his gut. He'd thought the hard part was fixing the generator. Turns out, that was just the opening battle. The next morning, he dropped Lily at school and drove to Phoenix Global. Parked in the employee lot like always. Started toward the service entrance from habit, then stopped. Turned around. Walked to the front entrance. The security guard, Mike, did a double take. Marcus, you lost. New position, facilities director. Guess I use the front door now. Mike whistled. Moving up in the world. Good for you, man. You earned it. Thanks, Mike. Inside, people stared. Marcus was used to being invisible. Being visible was worse. He felt every eye track him as he walked to the elevator, pressed the button for the executive floor. The elevator dinged. Doors opened. Victoria was inside. They stared at each other for a beat too long. Going up? She asked. Yeah. He stepped in. Doors closed. They stood in silence as the elevator climbed. Marcus could smell her perfume. Something expensive. Floral. It made him think of funerals and weddings occasions where everything was performed for an audience. First day, she said. Yes. Nervous. Terrified. She smiled. Good. Means you care. Did you warn me that your uncle is trying to sabotage me before I even start? Her smile vanished. Sarah told you. She thought I should know. She was right. Victoria turned to face him. Richard wants you to fail. He wants to prove I made an emotional decision instead of a logical one. He wants ammunition to use against me with the board. So I'm a pawn in your family drama. No, you're a competent professional who deserves this position. But yes, Richard will try to use you against me. I'm sorry for that. Are you... What? Sorry. Or are you just sorry you got caught using people? Her eyes flashed. I'm not using you. Aren't you? You promoted me to prove a point, to show Richard you're in charge, to make yourself feel better about treating me like furniture for 3 years. But underneath all the pretty words about respect and recognition, I'm still just a tool. Just a different kind of tool. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. The elevator stopped. Doors opened. Marcus stepped out without looking back. Victoria stood in the elevator, his words echoing in her mind. She wanted to be angry, wanted to tell herself he was ungrateful, paranoid, wrong. But he wasn't wrong, not completely. She'd promoted him partly because he deserved it, but also partly because it felt good, because it made her feel like she was fixing something broken in herself. Because having Marcus Reed look at her with those honest eyes and tell her she mattered somehow made her feel less hollow inside. She was using him, just a more subtle form of exploitation. The realization made her sick. Her assistant Claire poked her head in. Ma'am, the morning meeting starts in 5 minutes. Cancel it. Ma'am. I said cancel it. I need to think. Claire disappeared. Victoria walked into her office, closed the door, and for the first time in years, let herself feel the weight of what she'd become. Her father would have been proud. She'd become exactly like him. Cold. Calculating. Using people as means to ends instead of treating them as humans with their own worth and dignity. Her mother would have been heartbroken. Would have said this was why she left. Because staying meant becoming someone she couldn't recognize in the mirror. Victoria looked at her reflection in the window, saw a stranger in a designer suit, saw her father's daughter. saw everything she'd sworn she'd never become. She pulled out her phone, dialed. "Mom?" Silence. Then, "Victoria, is that you?" "Yeah, it's me. I haven't heard from you in 8 years." "I know. I'm sorry. I was angry. You left. Dad died. I blamed you for everything." "You had every right to be angry." "Maybe, but I'm tired of being angry, and I need to ask you something." "Anything." "Why did you really leave the truth, not the story Dad told everyone?" Her mother was quiet for so long Victoria thought she'd hung up. Then, "Because your father broke me, not with violence, with indifference. I was furniture to him, a trophy wife, a means to an end, and I realized if I stayed, I'd teach you that being treated that way was acceptable. So I left, to save myself, and to save you from thinking that's what love looks like." Victoria's throat closed. "Did you ever regret it?" "Every single day. But I don't regret saving you from becoming him." "Too late, Mom. I'm exactly like him." "Then change. You're not trapped. You're not furniture. You're a human being with choices. Make different ones." They talked for an hour. When Victoria finally hung up, her face was wet with tears. She hadn't let herself cry in years. Claire knocked tentatively. "Ma'am, Mr. Reed is asking if you have time to meet about facilities protocols." "Send him in." Marcus entered warily, stood at a distance. "I'll keep this brief. I need to establish reporting structures, budget access, and scheduling flexibility. I have a list of—" "I'm sorry," Victoria interrupted. He stopped. "What?" "You were right, this morning, in the elevator. I did promote you partly to prove a point, to make myself feel better, to use you as evidence that I'm a good person." She stood up, walked around the desk, stood in front of him. "But I don't want to be that person anymore. So I'm asking, what do you need from me to make this work?" Real support, not performative gesture, actual help. Marcus studied her face, looking for deception, finding only exhaustion and something that looked like honesty. "I need you to mean it," he said finally. "When you say you care about the people who work here, when you say you want to change things, I need you to actually mean it. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when someone's watching, but always." "I'll try." "Trying isn't enough. Either you do or you don't." "Then I will. I'll do better. I'll be better." Why does it suddenly matter?" Victoria took a breath. "Because this morning you called me out. And instead of getting defensive, I called my mother, for the first time in 8 years, and she told me something I needed to hear, that I'm not trapped by who I used to be, that I can change. So I'm choosing to change, starting now, with you." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Okay. Then here's what I need. Complete budget transparency. Access to all building systems. Authority to hire and fire my team without executive approval. And I need you to trust me to do my job without micromanaging." "Done. What else?" "I need you to stop calling me Marcus in meetings and calling the janitors, 'Hey you.' Everyone gets a name. Everyone gets dignity. Lead by example." "Agreed." "And I need you to eat lunch in the employee cafeteria at least once a week. Not as a publicity stunt, as a human being. Talk to people, learn their names, hear their stories." "That's terrifying." "Good. Growth is supposed to be uncomfortable." She almost smiled. "You're kind of an asshole, you know that." "Yeah, but I'm an honest asshole. That's the difference." "Fine, I'll do it. All of it. But Marcus?" "Yeah. You have to let me try. You have to give me the chance to be better, even if I mess up." He extended his hand. "Deal. But one mistake is learning. 2 is pattern. 3 is who you are. Don't make me regret believing you. She shook his hand. I won't. He left. Victoria sat down at her desk and pulled up the employee directory. 243 names. She started memorizing them, one by one, starting with the janitorial staff. If she was going to change, she was going to do it right, even if it killed her. 3 weeks into Marcus's new position, Richard Chase made his first real move. Marcus arrived at his office to find his computer access revoked, his parking spot reassigned, and a memo from HR questioning his engineering credentials. He walked straight to Victoria's office. Didn't knock. She looked up from her laptop, surprised. Marcus, I'm in the middle of... Your uncle just tried to fire me without actually firing me. Revoked my system access, questioned my credentials, made it impossible for me to do my job. Victoria's face went hard. When? This morning. I'm guessing while you were in the board meeting. Son of a bitch, she grabbed her phone. Claire, get Richard in here. Now. I don't care what he's doing. She hung up, looked at Marcus. This is my fault. I should have seen it coming. You can't protect me from every corporate knife fight. No. But I can make damn sure Richard understands there are consequences. Richard arrived 5 minutes later, all smiles and false concern. Victoria, good morning. Marcus, I heard there were some administrative issues with your credentials. Just a routine audit, nothing to worry about. Cut the shit, Richard. Victoria stood up. You revoked his access. You questioned his credentials to HR. You're trying to force him out. I'm ensuring we have proper documentation for all executive-level positions. The board requires it. The board didn't ask for this. You did. Because I'm protecting this company from your reckless hiring decisions. This man has no executive experience, no corporate management background. He's a maintenance worker playing dress-up in a position he's not qualified for. Marcus felt his hands curl into fists, forced them to relax. I have an MIT engineering degree and 20 years of military leadership experience. What are your qualifications, Richard? Besides inheriting your way onto the board. Richard's smile turned vicious. I have 30 years in this industry. I helped build Phoenix Global from nothing, and I won't watch my niece destroy it because she's got some misguided crush on the help. The room went deadly quiet. Victoria's voice was ice. Say that again. Everyone can see it, Victoria. The way you look at him, the special treatment, the promotion he didn't earn. You're compromising this company's integrity because you're lonely and desperate, and you think this blue-collar fantasy will fill the hole where your humanity used to be. Get out. I'm on the board. You can't fire me. No, but I can strip you of operational authority. Effective immediately, you have zero input on hiring, firing, or personnel decisions. You're a figurehead, a shareholder, nothing more. Richard's face went purple. The board will hear about this. Please, tell them. Tell them how you sabotaged an employee because you're threatened by competence. Tell them how you called your niece desperate and lonely in front of a witness. Tell them how you violated a dozen HR policies in one conversation. I'm sure they'll be very interested. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was letting you have power for this long. Get out of my office. Richard looked at Marcus. This isn't over. Yeah, it is, Marcus said quietly. You just don't know it yet. After Richard left, Victoria sat down heavily. I'm sorry. He's right about one thing. This is about me. He's using you to get to me. I know. That doesn't make it okay. It's not okay. None of this is okay. She rubbed her face. But he's also wrong. About why I promoted you, about the way I look at you, about everything else he said. Is he? Marcus asked. The question hung between them. Victoria met his eyes. I promoted you because you deserved it. Because you're exceptional at what you do. That part is true. But the way I look at you... She paused. That might be more complicated. Victoria. I'm not saying this to make you uncomfortable. I'm saying it because I'm tired of lying. Yes, I'm attracted to you. Yes, I think about you more than is professionally appropriate. But that's not why you're here. You're here because you earned this position. What I feel doesn't change that. Marcus didn't know what to say. Part of him had suspected. The way she looked at him sometimes. The personal questions. The care she showed for Lily. But hearing it out loud was different. I can't, he said finally. Victoria, even if I wanted to, I can't. You're my boss. You're wealthy. You're from a completely different world. And I have a daughter who needs stability, not a father who's tangled up in some corporate scandal. I know. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just being honest. I thought you deserved that much. I appreciate the honesty. But it doesn't change anything. We're professional colleagues. That's all we can be. I know. She smiled sadly. Doesn't stop me from wishing things were different. He left before he could say something he'd regret. Like that he'd thought about her too. Late at night when Lily was asleep and the apartment was quiet. Thought about what it would be like to have someone who saw him. Really saw him. Not as a paycheck or a father or a soldier, but as a man. But wishing didn't change reality. And reality was that Victoria Chase lived in a penthouse while he lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. She wore suits that cost more than his monthly rent. She belonged to a world he'd left behind when Sarah died. They were colleagues. That was all they could be. That night, Lily asked him about work over dinner. How's the new job, Dad? Complicated. That's not an answer. He smiled. She was too smart for her own good. It's good. Challenging. I'm learning a lot. Do you like your boss? The question caught him off guard. Why do you ask? Because you get weird when I mention her. Like you're thinking about something you're not supposed to think about. I'm not thinking about anything inappropriate. I didn't say inappropriate, I said something you're not supposed to think about. There's a difference. Marcus set down his fork. Where did you learn to read people like that? You. You always taught me to pay attention. To listen to what people don't say, not just what they do say. She took a bite of pasta. So do you like her? She's my boss, Ellie. It doesn't matter if I like her. That's not an answer either. He sighed. Yes, I like her. She's smart, and she's trying to be better than she was. But it doesn't matter. She's in one world, we're in another. That's just how it is. That's stupid. If two people like each other, the world they're in shouldn't matter. It's more complicated than that. Adults always say that when they're scared. I'm not scared. She gave him a look that said she knew better. Okay, Dad. Whatever you say. They finished dinner in silence. Marcus cleaned up while Lily did homework. His phone buzzed. Victoria. I need to see you. Not about work, about Richard. Can you meet me? He should have said no. Should have kept the professional boundary firm. But there was something in her voice. Urgency. Maybe fear. Where? My place. I know it's inappropriate, but I don't trust the office. Richard has people everywhere. I need somewhere private. Every instinct screamed this was a bad idea. Text me the address. I'll be there in an hour. Victoria's penthouse was everything Marcus expected, and worse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle. Art that probably cost more than his car. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. She answered the door in jeans and a sweater. No makeup, hair down. She looked younger, more human, more dangerous. Come in, please. He stepped inside. What's wrong? She led him to the living room, spread papers across the coffee table. Richard's making a move, a big one. He's convinced 3 board members to call for a vote of no confidence. He's using your promotion as evidence that I'm emotionally compromised, unfit to lead. Marcus picked up one of the documents. It was a petition. Signatures from board members, calling for Victoria's removal. When's the vote? Friday, 3 days from now. What do you need from me? Resign. He looked up sharply. What? If you resign, he loses his ammunition. The board will have no reason to question my judgment. The vote will fail. And I'll be unemployed. I'll give you severance, 6 months' salary, a letter of recommendation, help you find another position. So I'm the sacrifice. I'm not asking lightly. I know what this job means to you, to Lily. But if you don't resign, Richard wins. He gets rid of both of us. At least this way, one of us survives. Marcus sat down on her absurdly expensive couch. You want me to fall on my sword so you can keep your kingdom. That's not fair. Isn't it? You promoted me, made promises about things changing, about dignity and respect, and now the second it gets hard, you're asking me to disappear. I'm asking you to make a tactical retreat. There's a difference. No, you're asking me to prove Richard right, that I didn't deserve the promotion, that it was all about your feelings instead of my competence. Victoria sat down across from him. You're right. It's not fair. It's terrible. But it's the only move we have. Then make a different move. There is no different move. Yes, there is. Fight. Let them have their vote. Defend your decision. Show them I'm qualified, that I've done good work, that promoting me was the right call. Marcus, they don't care about facts. They care about optics, about control, about keeping people like you in your place. Then burn the place down. She stared at him. What? You heard me. If they're going to remove you for doing the right thing, make them do it publicly. Make them explain why competence doesn't matter if you're wearing the wrong suit. Make them own their classism and their corruption. That's professional suicide. Maybe. But it's also integrity. Something you told me matters to you. Victoria was quiet for a long time. Then she laughed. It was a bitter sound. My father would tell me to sacrifice you, save myself. That's what leaders do. Make hard choices. Your father sounds like an asshole. He was. But he was also successful, powerful, respected. Was he happy? The question stopped her. I don't know. I don't think I ever saw him happy. Then maybe his way isn't the way. Maybe there's something more important than success. Like what? Like being able to look at yourself in the mirror. Like not becoming the person you hate. Victoria stood up, walked to the windows, looked out at the city lights. If I fight this, I'll probably lose. Richard has the votes. He has the leverage. He has 30 years of political capital. Then you'll lose standing up instead of lying down. That's something. And you'll lose your job, your salary, your daughter's insurance. We'll figure it out. We always do. She turned around. Why are you doing this? Why are you willing to risk everything? Because someone has to. Because if we don't fight, they win. And if they win, nothing ever changes. The rich stay rich. The poor stay invisible. And people like Lily grow up thinking that's just how the world works. Victoria crossed the room, stood in front of him. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the dumbest. Can't I be both? She smiled, actually smiled. I'm going to fight. I'm going to defend you, defend my decision, and I'm probably going to lose everything. Then we'll lose together. You're not losing anything. This is my fight. No. Richard made it my fight when he came after me, so I'm in. All the way. They stood there close enough that Marcus could see the flecks of gold in her gray eyes. Close enough that he could smell her shampoo, something clean and simple. Close enough to do something stupid. He stepped back. I should go. Lily's with the neighbor. I need to get home. Marcus. She caught his arm. Thank you. For being willing to fight. For not taking the easy way out. There's nothing easy about any of this. No. But at least we're choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. He left before he could do something they'd both regret. Like kiss her. Like tell her that he'd thought about her every night for 3 weeks. Like admit that she scared him more than any Taliban fighter ever had, because she made him want things he'd given up hoping for. The board meeting on Friday was standing room only. News had leaked. Investors were there. Media was outside. Phoenix Global's future hung in the balance and everyone wanted a front row seat. Marcus sat in the back. Victoria had offered him a seat at the table. He'd refused. This was her fight. He was just the excuse. Richard stood to present his case. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today because our CEO has made a series of questionable decisions that threaten this company's stability. Chief among them, promoting a maintenance worker with zero corporate experience to a senior leadership position. He clicked a button. Marcus's face filled the screen. His old employee photo. Grease-stained uniform. Looking tired and poor, and exactly like what Richard wanted people to see. Marcus Reed, high school graduate, MIT graduate. Sarah Chen interrupted. And naval officer. Get your facts straight, Richard. Fine. MIT graduate who threw away his career to become a janitor. Hardly the resume of someone qualified for executive leadership. He has a degree in mechanical engineering and 20 years of military leadership experience, Victoria said. Her voice was calm. Deadly calm. More relevant experience than half this board. Experience that he abandoned. Experience that clearly didn't prepare him for corporate America. And yet you promoted him to facilities director based on one emergency repair. A repair that I might add was necessary because of maintenance failures he should have prevented in the first place. Murmurs around the room. Richard was good, making Marcus's competence sound like luck. His promotion sound like charity. That's a lie, Marcus said. He stood up. Every eye turned to him. I put in a work order 3 weeks before that failure, documented the corroded relay, warned that the backup generator wouldn't engage. Management ignored it. Budget cuts, deferred maintenance. The failure wasn't my fault. It was the result of years of prioritizing profit over prevention. And yet, Richard said smoothly, you failed to escalate the issue, failed to force management to act. A leader would have made sure the problem was fixed. You simply filed paperwork and walked away. A leader works within the system. I had no authority to force anyone to do anything. I was maintenance. I filed the report, did my job. That's all I could do. Exactly. That's all you could do. Because you're not a leader. You're a follower, a worker bee. And Victoria promoted you not because of your qualifications, but because she felt guilty about how she'd treated you. Victoria stood up. That's enough. Is it because I think the board deserves to know the truth? You didn't promote Marcus Reed because he's qualified. You promoted him because you have feelings for him. Inappropriate feelings that compromise your judgment and this company's integrity. The room exploded. Investors shouted. Board members argued. Media outside pressed against the windows. Marcus felt his face burn, not from shame, from rage. Victoria's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. You're right. The room went silent. I have feelings for Marcus Reed. He's intelligent, capable, and possesses more integrity in his calloused hands than most people in this room have in their entire bodies. And yes, I find that attractive. I find it compelling. I find it admirable. Richard smiled like he'd won. Thank you for confirming. But that's not why I promoted him. I promoted him because he saved this company when your budget cuts almost destroyed it. Because he understands our systems better than anyone. Because competence should matter more than pedigree. Because I'm tired of running a company where people are judged by their last name instead of their work ethic. She turned to face the board. Richard wants you to believe I'm emotionally compromised. That I'm making decisions based on feelings instead of logic. But here are the facts. In the 3 weeks since Marcus became facilities director, system downtime has decreased by 40%. Maintenance costs have dropped by 30%. Employee satisfaction in his department has increased by 65%. Those aren't feelings. Those are results. She clicked her own button. A spreadsheet appeared. Numbers. Data. Proof. Richard talks about qualifications. Fine. Let's talk qualifications. Marcus has a degree from one of the best engineering schools in the country. He led teams of engineers in active combat zones. He designed power systems for aircraft carriers. And yes, he left that career to be present for his daughter, which shows more character than most of the men in this room who've sacrificed their families for their careers. She looked at Richard. You say I'm compromised by feelings. You're compromised by ego, by classism, by a desperate need to maintain a hierarchy where people like you stay on top and people like Marcus stay invisible. But I'm done with that hierarchy. I'm done pretending that breeding matters more than competence. I'm done with a company culture that values appearance over substance. So, what are you proposing? A board member asked. That we promote based on sob stories instead of qualifications. I'm proposing we promote based on merit, based on results, based on the radical idea that a person's worth isn't determined by their salary or their suit or their parking spot. And if that's not the kind of company you want to run, then vote me out. But own it. Don't hide behind claims that I'm emotional or compromised. Admit that you'd rather protect the status quo than reward excellence. The room was silent. Then Sarah Chen stood up. I vote to keep Victoria as CEO. Another board member stood. I vote to keep her. Then another, and another. Richard's face went from confident to panicked to furious in the space of 30 seconds. When the vote was called, Victoria won. 8-4. Richard stood up. This isn't over. I still own 30% of this company. I'll sue. I'll make your life hell. You're welcome to try, Victoria said. But you'll be doing it from outside this building. Security, please escort Mr. Chase out. He's no longer welcome on Phoenix Global property. Security moved in. Richard left screaming threats and lawsuits. When the room cleared, Victoria and Marcus stood alone. You didn't have to do that, Marcus said. Admit your feelings. Put yourself on the line. Yes, I did. Because you were right. If I wasn't willing to fight, nothing would change. So I fought. You won. We won. You stood up, defended yourself, showed them they were wrong about you. I'm probably going to be fired within 6 months. Half the board hates me now. Then we'll have 6 good months before we have to figure out what's next. Marcus should have left, should have maintained professional distance, should have done the smart thing. Instead, he pulled her into his arms and held her. Just held her, felt her shake with relief and fear and exhaustion. Thank you, she whispered against his chest. For making me fight, for believing I could be better. You are better. You just needed to remember that. They stood there for a long time, holding each other, knowing that everything had changed and nothing would ever be the same. Marcus pulled away first. Had to. Because standing there holding Victoria Chase felt too right and too dangerous and too close to the edge of something he couldn't come back from. I should go, he said. Lily's waiting. Of course. Victoria's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. Marcus, about what I said in there. About having feelings. Don't. Please don't. He couldn't hear her apologize for telling the truth. Couldn't hear her take it back because it was inconvenient or unprofessional, or any of the 1,000 reasons why they shouldn't feel what they felt. I wasn't going to apologize. I was going to say I meant it. Every word. And I know we can't do anything about it. I know all the reasons why it's impossible. But I wanted you to know that for the first time in my life, I felt brave enough to tell the truth. Because you taught me that. He looked at her then. Really looked at her. Not the CEO, not the Ice Queen, just Victoria. A woman who'd risked everything to do what was right. A woman who'd stood in front of a board of vultures and defended him when walking away would have been easier. You're making this really hard, he said. Good. You've been making it hard for me for weeks. Despite everything, he smiled. We're a mess. The worst. She smiled back. Go home to your daughter. I'll see you Monday. Monday. He left before he could change his mind. The weekend was strange. Lily asked why he seemed distracted. Marcus told her work was complicated. She gave him that look again, the one that said she knew he was lying, but loved him too much to push. Saturday night, his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered, expecting a spam call. "Mr. Reed, this is Thomas Brennan. I'm an attorney representing Richard Chase. He's filing a lawsuit against you personally for defamation, interference with business relations, and corporate espionage." Marcus's stomach dropped. Corporate espionage? What are you talking about? "Mr. Chase believes you accessed confidential financial records during your time as a maintenance worker and used that information to manipulate Ms. Chase into promoting you. He has evidence. Security logs showing you accessed executive-level servers on multiple occasions." "I was called to fix servers. That's my job. That's not espionage." "The timing is suspicious, Mr. Reed. You accessed those servers 3 days before the generator crisis. 3 days before you leveraged that crisis into a six-figure position. A jury might find that compelling. This is bullshit." "Perhaps, but defending yourself will cost money. Legal fees, time, stress. Mr. Chase is willing to drop the lawsuit on one condition." "What condition?" "Resign from Phoenix Global, sign a non-disclosure agreement, walk away quietly. Do that and the lawsuit disappears. Tell Richard to go to hell." "Mr. Reed, I said no. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not resigning because some bitter old man wants to punish me for being competent." "You're making a mistake. Richard Chase is wealthy, connected. He can drag this out for years. Can you afford that?" Marcus hung up. Lily was standing in the doorway. "Dad, what's wrong?" "Nothing, baby, just work stuff." "Someone's suing you." He'd forgotten how thin the walls were. "Yeah, but it's fake. They're just trying to scare me." "Will we have to move again?" The question broke his heart. They'd moved 4 times in 7 years. Every time he lost a job or couldn't make rent. Every time life knocked them down and they had to get up somewhere cheaper, somewhere smaller. "No, we're not moving. I promise." "You can't promise that." "I can, and I am. We're staying. We're fighting. We're not running anymore." She nodded, went back to her room. Marcus sat down at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. He'd meant what he said. They weren't running, but defending a lawsuit required money he didn't have, lawyers he couldn't afford. His phone rang again. Victoria. "I heard about the lawsuit. Sarah told me. She has a source in Richard's camp. He's trying to force me out." "I know, and I'm hiring you a lawyer, the best in Seattle." Victoria. "Don't argue. This is my fault. Richard's coming after you because of me. The least I can do is make sure you have proper representation." "I can't afford to owe you." "You don't owe me anything. This isn't charity. This is responsibility. I put you in this position. I'm going to help you survive it." "What if I say no?" "Then you're an idiot. Marcus, this isn't about pride. This is about winning. About not letting Richard destroy you because you can't afford to fight back." He wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain his independence. But Lily's question echoed in his head. "Will we have to move again?" "Okay, but I'm paying you back. Every penny. I don't care how long it takes." "Fine. We'll work out terms later. Right now, focus on the lawsuit. The lawyer's name is Amanda Reeves. She's expecting your call Monday morning. She's already been briefed." "How much is this going to cost?" "Don't worry about it." Victoria. "I said don't worry about it. Trust me, please." He wanted to argue, but the relief was too overwhelming. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just promise me you'll fight. That you won't let Richard win." "I promise." After he hung up, Marcus sat in the dark kitchen and tried to remember when his life had gotten so complicated. 3 months ago, he was invisible. Broke, but invisible. Simple. Now he was visible. And everything hurt. Monday morning, Amanda Reeves looked exactly like someone who charged $500 an hour. Tailored suit, diamond earrings, briefcase that probably cost more than Marcus's truck. "Mr. Reed, I've reviewed Richard Chase's complaint. It's garbage, pure intimidation with no legal merit. Can you prove that?" "Easily. The server access logs he's citing all legitimate maintenance work, documented, approved, time-stamped. The financial records he claims you accessed. You never opened those files. You fixed the servers they were stored on, but you never viewed the data. I've already subpoenaed Phoenix Global's IT department. They'll confirm everything. Marcus felt the knot in his chest loosen. So the lawsuit gets dismissed. Eventually. But Richard will drag it out. File motions, demand depositions, make this as painful as possible. We're looking at 6 months minimum, maybe a year. A year of legal bills. Ms. Chase is covering the costs. She's also agreed to testify on your behalf if necessary. She's prepared to be very public about Richard's harassment and retaliation. That'll hurt her reputation. Amanda smiled. Ms. Chase doesn't care. She was very clear about that. Her exact words were, "If Richard wants a war, I'll give him one he'll regret." Despite everything, Marcus smiled. That sounds like her. She also wanted me to tell you that Phoenix Global's legal team is at your disposal. Any harassment from Richard, any attempts to intimidate you, you report it immediately. We'll handle it. Why is she doing this? Amanda studied him. You really don't know. Know what? Victoria Chase has been the ice queen of tech for a decade. Cold, ruthless, efficient. In the 3 months since you started working with her, she's changed. She smiles. She learns people's names. She eats lunch in the employee cafeteria. The entire company is talking about it. You changed her, Mr. Reed. And she's protecting you because you gave her something she thought she'd lost. What's that? Her humanity. The deposition happened 3 weeks later. Richard's lawyer was a shark named Gerald Hoffman, who'd made his career destroying people in court. Mr. Reed, you claim you accessed executive servers for legitimate maintenance purposes, yet you did so outside of normal business hours, on weekends, at night. Explain that. I work when systems are down. That means off hours, nights, weekends. It's standard practice. Or opportunistic timing, when fewer people are around to observe you accessing confidential information. I was fixing servers, not reading files. You expect us to believe you had access to financial data worth millions and never looked, that you possess that level of self-control. Yes. Why should we believe that? Because I gave up a 6-figure career to be a present father. Because I've spent 7 years choosing my daughter over money. Because self-control is what I do. Hoffman smiled. Or perhaps you waited, bided your time. Manipulated Ms. Chase into promoting you so you could access even more sensitive information. Information worth far more than $120,000 salary. That's insane. Is it? You're a man with crushing debt, medical bills, living paycheck to paycheck. Suddenly you're in a position of power with access to trade secrets worth hundreds of millions. The temptation must be overwhelming. Marcus leaned forward. Let me be clear. I have never not once accessed information I wasn't authorized to see. I have never stolen anything. Never manipulated anyone. I do my job. I take care of my daughter. That's it. If Richard Chase wants to imagine some elaborate conspiracy because he can't accept that a maintenance worker is competent, that's his problem, not mine. You're very defensive for an innocent man. I'm very tired of being called a criminal by someone who sabotaged his own company's generator to make his niece look incompetent. The room went silent. Hoffman's face went white. That's a serious accusation. It's a true accusation. I've reviewed the maintenance logs. Someone with executive access disabled the backup generator relay 3 days before the crisis. Someone who knew exactly how to make it fail. Someone with a motive to embarrass Victoria Chase. That's not a maintenance problem. That's sabotage. Amanda Reeves smiled. She'd known Marcus was going to drop that bomb. They'd planned it, rehearsed it, waited for the perfect moment. Do you have proof? Hoffman demanded. I have access logs, executive-level credentials used to access the mechanical room. Timestamps. Digital fingerprints. Would you like me to provide them to the court? This deposition is over. Hoffman stood up. We'll be filing motions. File whatever you want, Amanda said. But if those logs get subpoenaed, Richard Chase is going to have a lot of explaining to do. Like why he accessed systems he had no legitimate reason to access. Like why he disabled safety mechanisms right before a critical demonstration. Like why he's willing to destroy his own company to punish his niece. They left. Marcus sat there, adrenaline crashing. Did I just accuse a board member of corporate sabotage? Yes, and you backed it up with evidence. Well done. Richard's going to lose his mind. Good. Let him. The angrier he gets, the sloppier he gets. And when he gets sloppy, we bury him. That night, Victoria called. I heard about the deposition. You accused Richard of sabotage. I had proof. I know. I provided it. Sarah and I pulled those logs weeks ago. We were waiting for the right moment to use them. You've known this whole time that Richard tried to destroy the company? Yes, but I couldn't prove motive. Until he came after you. Now his motive is clear. He was willing to risk hundreds of millions to force me out. That's not business strategy. That's personal vendetta. What are you going to do? I'm calling an emergency board meeting. I'm presenting the evidence. I'm having Richard removed not just from operations, but from the board entirely. He'll fight. He'll lose. The evidence is overwhelming. The other board members aren't stupid. They won't protect someone who sabotaged the company. She paused. Marcus, this is going to get ugly. Media, lawsuits, investigations. Are you sure you want to be in the middle of it? I'm already in the middle of it. Might as well see it through. You could still walk away, take a severance, disappear, start over somewhere quiet. Is that what you want? No, but I'm trying to give you an out. You have a daughter to think about. I am thinking about her. I'm thinking about the world she's growing up in. I'm thinking about whether I want her to learn that you run when things get hard, or you fight when things matter. This matters. Yeah, it does. Not just the job, not just the money, but the principle. That competence should matter more than pedigree. That people like me deserve a seat at the table. That's worth fighting for. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then, you're a better person than I deserve. You're wrong. You're exactly the person I thought you could be. Back when you made that bet. When you challenged me to fix the generator. I saw something in you then. Something you'd buried under the Ice Queen Act. I'm just glad you found it again. You found it. You dug through all my defenses and found the human underneath. Victoria, I love you. I know I shouldn't say it. I know it's unprofessional and inappropriate and impossible. But I love you. And I needed you to know that before everything explodes. Marcus closed his eyes, felt the words land in his chest like a punch. You can't say that. I just did? We work together. You're my boss. We can't. I know all the reasons why it's wrong. But it doesn't change how I feel. And after everything we've been through, after fighting together, and bleeding together and surviving together, I couldn't not tell you. What do you want me to say? I don't want you to say anything. I just wanted you to know. She hung up. Marcus sat in his dark apartment, phone in hand, and tried to remember how to breathe. Victoria Chase loved him, the CEO, the Ice Queen, the woman who lived in a world so far removed from his that they might as well be on different planets. And God help him, he loved her too. Had probably loved her since that moment in the conference room when she'd stood in front of the board and defended him, when she'd admitted her feelings publicly and refused to be ashamed of them, when she'd chosen truth over safety. But love didn't fix reality. He had a daughter, a job he couldn't afford to lose, a life that barely held together on good days and fell apart on bad ones. Victoria had a company, a reputation, a world of expectations and responsibilities that didn't include a broke single father with a sick kid. Love didn't bridge that gap. Love didn't make the impossible possible. Love just made everything hurt more. The board meeting was a massacre. Victoria presented the evidence. Access logs showing Richard had disabled the backup generator relay. Timestamps proving he'd done it 3 days before the crisis. digital forensics confirming his credentials had been used. "This is fabricated," Richard insisted. "Victoria's manufacturing evidence to discredit me." "Then explain why your access card was used to enter the mechanical room at 2:00 a.m. 3 days before the generator failure," Sarah Chen said. She'd been the one to pull the logs. She'd been waiting months for this moment. "Explain why you, a board member with zero technical responsibilities, needed access to maintenance systems in the middle of the night." "I was checking on a separate issue." "What issue?" "There's no work order, no maintenance request, no legitimate reason for you to be there." Sarah clicked a button. Video appeared on the screen. Grainy security footage. Richard entering the mechanical room, staying for 15 minutes, leaving. "What were you doing for 15 minutes, Richard?" Victoria asked. "Because Marcus can fix most problems in 5. What took you 3 times as long?" "I was observing. You were sabotaging. You disabled the relay. You created the crisis. You risked $200 million in contracts and 5 years of development because you wanted to prove I was unfit to lead." Victoria's voice was steel. "You didn't just betray me. You betrayed this entire company, every employee, every investor, everyone who trusted you." The vote was unanimous. Richard Chase was removed from the board, stripped of his operational authority, and escorted from the building by security. He screamed threats all the way to the parking lot, promised lawsuits, investigations, revenge. Nobody listened. After the board left, Victoria sat alone in the conference room. Marcus found her there. "It's done," he said. "Yeah." "You okay?" "I just destroyed my uncle, the last family I had. So no, I'm not okay, but I'm right. That has to count for something." Marcus sat down next to her, not touching, just close. "Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who show up when everyone else walks away." "Is that what you are? The person who shows up?" "I'm trying to be." She looked at him. "I meant what I said on the phone. I know you didn't respond. I know you probably can't. But I meant it." "I know." "Do you feel the same way?" He should have lied, should have protected them both, but he was too tired for lies. "Yeah, I do." "Then why are we sitting here pretending we don't?" "Because you're my boss. Because I have a daughter. Because your world and my world are too different. Because loving someone doesn't make the impossible possible." "What if we made it possible? What if I stepped down as CEO? What if we started over somewhere where the power dynamic isn't a problem?" "You'd give up Phoenix Global for me." "I'd give up everything for you. I already proved that in front of the board. The question is whether you believe me." Marcus wanted to. God, he wanted to. But he'd learned the hard way that wanting didn't make things true. "You say that now. But in 6 months, a year, when the novelty wears off and you realize you gave up your company for a broke single dad who can't afford fancy restaurants or European vacations, what then?" "Then we'll still have each other. That's enough." "Is it?" "You've never lived without money, never had to choose between rent and groceries, never had to tell your kid she can't have something because you can't afford it. That's my life. Every day. Can you really handle that?" "I don't know, but I want the chance to find out." "And what about Lily?" "She's 9. She's been through enough. I can't bring someone into her life who might leave when things get hard." "I wouldn't leave." "You don't know that. Nobody knows that." Sarah said she wouldn't leave. Then she did. Walked away when Lily needed her most. I can't risk that again. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood up. "You're right. I don't know for certain. I can't promise I won't fail. Can't promise I won't disappoint you. But I can promise I'll try. That's all anyone can promise. And if that's not enough, if you need guarantees before you let someone in, then you'll be alone forever. Because life doesn't come with guarantees." She walked toward the door, stopped, looked back. "When you're ready to risk it to take the chance, I'll be here. But I won't wait forever. Eventually, I'll have to accept that you're too scared to try." She left. Marcus sat in the empty conference room and tried to tell himself he'd made the right choice. Tried to convince himself that protecting Lily meant protecting his heart. Tried to believe that safety was worth loneliness. He failed. Because Victoria was right. Life didn't come with guarantees. Love didn't come with insurance policies. And if he was going to teach Lily how to be brave, he had to be brave himself. Even if it terrified him, especially if it terrified him. He pulled out his phone, texted Victoria. "Dinner, tomorrow night, you, me, and Lily. If you can handle frozen pizza and a 9-year-old's interrogation, maybe we've got a chance." Her response came 30 seconds later. "I'll bring dessert. What's Lily's favorite?" "Chocolate chip cookies. Homemade, not store-bought. She's picky." "Good. So am I." Marcus smiled despite himself. Despite his fear. Despite every logical reason why this was a terrible idea, because sometimes the terrible idea was the only one worth trying. Victoria arrived at Marcus's apartment at 6:30, carrying a bag from a bakery and wearing jeans, actual jeans, and a sweater that looked soft instead of severe. Her hair was down, no makeup. She looked terrified. Marcus opened the door. "You came." "You invited me. Of course I came." "I half expected you to change your mind." "I half expected you to uninvite me." She held up the bag. "I made the cookies myself. Well, I tried. Then I burned them. Then I bought these and put them in a container so Lily would think I made them. Is that terrible?" "It's honest. She'll appreciate that more than perfect cookies." Lily appeared behind Marcus. Studied Victoria with the intense scrutiny only a 9-year-old could manage. "You're the lady from Dad's work." "I'm Victoria. It's nice to meet you properly, Lily." "Dad says you're his boss." "I am, but tonight I'm just someone who wanted to have dinner with you both, if that's okay." Lily looked at her father. Marcus nodded. Lily stepped aside. "You can come in, but you have to take off your shoes. Dad's rule." "Good rule." Victoria took off her shoes, followed them inside. The apartment was small, clean, but clearly lived in. Lily's robotics projects covered the dining table. Medical supplies were stacked neatly on a shelf. Drawings covered the fridge. "Sorry about the mess," Marcus said. "I wasn't expecting—" "It's perfect." Victoria meant it. The apartment felt like a home. Her penthouse felt like a museum. "What can I do to help?" "You can sit. Talk to Lily while I finish the pizza." Victoria sat at the table across from Lily. The girl was building something with circuits and wires. Looked complicated. "What are you making?" "A glucose monitor. For my diabetes. The ones the doctor gives me are expensive and they break all the time, so I'm making my own." "That's brilliant. Dad taught me. He says if something's broken, you fix it yourself. You don't wait for someone else to care." Victoria felt that hit her chest. "Your dad's a smart man." "The smartest. He gave up everything for me. Left the Navy, left his big career, just so he could take care of me." Lily looked up, met Victoria's eyes. "I know people think that's weak, that he should have kept the career. But I think it's the bravest thing anyone ever did." "I think so too." "Do you... Or are you just saying that because you like him?" Victoria blinked. "You're very direct." "Dad says honesty is faster than lying. So are you just saying that—" "No, I mean it. Your father choosing you over his career is the most courageous thing I've ever heard. I wish more people had that kind of courage." Lily studied her for another moment, then nodded. "Okay, you can stay for dinner. I'm glad I passed the test." "That wasn't the test. The test is whether you hurt him. If you do, I'll make your life miserable. I'm very good at making people's lives miserable." "I believe you." "Good." Lily went back to her circuit board. Marcus brought pizza to the table. Store-bought. Nothing fancy. Victoria had eaten at Michelin-starred restaurants, had food prepared by world-renowned chefs. But sitting at that small table with frozen pizza and a 9-year-old who'd just threatened her felt more real than any 5-star meal ever had. They ate, talked. Lily asked Victoria about her company, about why she became a CEO, about what it was like to be in charge. "It's lonely," Victoria said. The truth came easier than she expected. You make decisions that affect hundreds of people. You're responsible for their jobs, their families, their futures. And you do it alone because nobody else can understand that weight. That sounds terrible. Sometimes it is. But sometimes you meet people who make it less terrible. People who remind you why you do it. Your dad's one of those people. Lily looked at Marcus. "Is Victoria one of those people for you?" Marcus nearly choked on his pizza. "Ellie, it's a yes or no question, Dad." He looked at Victoria. She looked back, waiting. "Yeah," he said quietly. "She is." "Good. Then you should probably date her before someone else does." "Lily, what you like her, she likes you. That's how it works. Don't be stupid about it." Victoria laughed, actually laughed. "Your daughter is wise beyond her years. She's a terror, that's what she is." "I prefer precocious," Lily said. She stood up. "I'm going to work on my project. You two should talk, like adults, without me, because clearly you need privacy to be awkward together." She left. Marcus and Victoria sat in silence. "I'm sorry about that," Marcus said finally. "Don't be. She's wonderful, smart, direct, protective of you. Everything a daughter should be. She basically just told us to date." "She did." "That's not how this works. You don't date someone because your 9-year-old gives you permission. No, you date them because you want to, because you're tired of pretending you don't, because life's too short to waste on fear." Victoria reached across the table, took his hand. "Marcus, I know all the reasons why this is complicated. Your job, my job, Lily, the power dynamic, the media, all of it. But I don't care anymore. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of pretending that logic matters more than feeling. I want this. I want you. And if that's unprofessional or inappropriate or impossible, then I'll quit. I'll sell my shares. I'll walk away from Phoenix Global and start over somewhere else. Because you're worth more than any company. You can't quit. That's your life's work." "No. It was my prison. You set me free from it. Showed me there's more to life than quarterly earnings and board meetings. Showed me that being human is more important than being successful." "Victoria, let me finish. I know you're scared. I know Sarah left. I know you've built walls to protect Lily and yourself. But I'm not Sarah. I'm not leaving. I'm not giving up when things get hard. I'm asking you to take a chance, to risk it, to let me prove that some people actually stay." Marcus looked at their joined hands. Calloused meeting soft. Blue collar meeting executive. Two different worlds that somehow fit. "If we do this," he said slowly, "it won't be easy. My life is complicated. Lily's medical bills, the lawsuit, the job, everything. Are you really ready for that?" "I'm ready to try. That's all anyone can promise." "And when it gets hard, when the novelty wears off and you realize dating a single dad means canceled plans and hospital visits and a kid who needs insulin more than romance, then we'll figure it out, together. That's what partners do." He pulled his hand back, stood up, walked to the window. Victoria's heart sank. She'd pushed too hard, scared him off. Then he turned around. "Okay. Okay. Let's try. Let's date. Let's see if this impossible thing can actually work." "Really?" "Really. But ground rules. Lily comes first. Always. If she's uncomfortable, we slow down. If she needs me, you understand. And we keep it quiet at work until we figure out what this is." "Agreed. Anything else?" "Yeah. Don't hurt her. I can survive being hurt. I've done it before. But if you hurt Lily, if you make her care about you and then leave, I'll never forgive you." "I won't, I promise." "Don't promise. Just show up. That's all I need. Someone who shows up. Victoria crossed the room, stood in front of him. I'll show up. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. He kissed her then. Not the theatrical kiss she'd once offered as an insult. Not the desperate kiss in the conference room after the board meeting. This was something else. Something slower. Deeper. More real. When they broke apart, Lily was standing in the doorway. Finally. I was starting to think I'd have to lock you in a closet together. Marcus laughed. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to know you're dating now. Which means Victoria has to come to my robotics competition next month, because that's what girlfriends do. Girlfriend. Victoria looked at Marcus. Is that what I am? Apparently my daughter thinks so. I'd be honored to come to your competition, Lily. Good. Fair warning, I'm going to win. I always win. Where do you think she gets the confidence? Marcus muttered. Definitely not from you, Victoria teased. You're the most self-deprecating person I've ever met. They spent the rest of the evening together. Lily showed Victoria her projects. Marcus made coffee. They talked about everything and nothing. And for the first time in years, Victoria felt like she belonged somewhere. Not in a boardroom, not in a penthouse, but in a cramped apartment in Queens with a single dad and his brilliant daughter. The next 3 months were chaos. Richard's lawsuit continued, but Amanda Reeves was destroying him. The sabotage evidence was overwhelming. The corporate espionage accusations were proven false. Richard was hemorrhaging money and credibility. At work, Marcus and Victoria kept their relationship quiet, professional, separate elevators, no public displays. Nobody knew except Sarah, who'd figured it out within a week and promised to keep the secret. But outside work, they built something real. Victoria came to Lily's robotics competition, cheered louder than any parent there when Lily won first place. Marcus went to Victoria's mother's house for dinner, met the woman who'd left when Victoria was 8, watched them navigate their complicated reconciliation. They fought sometimes, about money, about Lily's care, about the future. But they always came back together, always talked it through, always chose each other. 4 months after that first dinner, the lawsuit was dismissed. Richard had run out of money and credibility. The judge sanctioned him for filing a frivolous suit, ordered him to pay Marcus's legal fees. The victory should have felt sweet. Instead, Marcus felt empty. The fight was over. They'd won. But winning didn't change the reality that he was dating his boss, that their relationship violated every HR policy, that eventually someone would find out and everything would explode. Victoria found him in his office after the dismissal notice came through. Closed the door. We need to talk. His stomach dropped. About what? About us. About this impossible situation we're in. About how we can't keep hiding forever. I know. I've been thinking about it too. I'm resigning as CEO. He stared at her. What? I've already drafted my letter. I'm stepping down. Appointing Sarah as my replacement. She's brilliant. She'll do better than I ever did. Victoria, you can't quit because of me. I'm not quitting because of you. I'm quitting because I want a life, a real life, not just a career. I want to come home to you and Lily. I want to help with homework and make dinners that aren't catered. I want to be human instead of CEO, and I can't do that while running a Fortune 500 company. What will you do? I don't know. Maybe consulting, maybe teaching, maybe nothing for a while. I have enough money to last several lifetimes. Maybe it's time I figured out what actually matters. You'd really walk away from everything you built. I'm not walking away from anything. I'm walking towards something better. You, Lily. A life that isn't measured in profit margins and stock prices. That's not walking away. That's waking up. Marcus pulled her close. You're insane. Probably. But you love me anyway. I do. God help me, I do. She kissed him. Then let me do this. Let me choose you. The way you chose Lily. The way you've chosen love over everything else your entire adult life. It's my turn. What about Phoenix Global? Sarah will run it better than I did. She cares about people, about the work, about making things better. I just cared about winning. That's not enough anymore. When? 2 weeks. I'll announce at the next board meeting. Give them time to transition. Then I'm done. Then we can stop hiding, stop pretending, stop living two separate lives. And if people judge us, if they say I used you to climb the ladder, let them. We know the truth. That's all that matters. The board meeting was standing room only. Victoria had called it emergency. Rumors were flying. Some thought she was pregnant. Some thought the company was being sold. Nobody expected what she actually said. Effective immediately, I'm resigning as CEO of Phoenix Global Tech. Dr. Sarah Chen will take over. She has my full support and confidence. Chaos. Questions. Demands for explanation. Victoria held up her hand. I'm resigning because I've achieved everything I set out to achieve. This company is profitable, ethical, successful, and it doesn't need me anymore. It needs someone who cares more about people than profits. Sarah is that person. This is about Marcus Reed, one board member said. You're leaving because of your relationship with him. I'm leaving because I want a life that isn't defined by quarterly earnings. Yes, Marcus is part of that life, but this decision is about me, about choosing humanity over ambition, about remembering that we're not machines, we're people. And people need more than success. They need connection, love, purpose. I found all three. I'm not apologizing for that. She stood up, walked out of the boardroom, walked out of Phoenix Global for the last time as CEO. Marcus met her in the parking lot. You really did it. I really did. Any regrets? Not one. She took his hand. Take me home. Your penthouse. No, your apartment, with Lily. That's home now. They drove to Queens, picked up Lily from school, told her together that Victoria had quit, that they didn't have to hide anymore, that they were really truly together now. Lily hugged Victoria so hard she couldn't breathe. Does this mean you're staying? Like actually staying? I'm staying, if you'll have me. Are you going to marry my dad? Lily. Marcus's face went red. What? It's a reasonable question. You're dating. You love each other. That's what people do. They get married. Victoria looked at Marcus. Is that what people do? Generally, yes. But usually they date for more than 4 months first. We could keep dating, or we could skip ahead. I'm flexible. Are you proposing to me? I'm saying I'm open to the concept, if you are. Lily groaned. You're both terrible at this. Here, I'll do it. She looked at Victoria. Will you marry my dad? Lily, that's not how... Marcus started. Yes, Victoria said. If he asks, yes. The apartment went silent. You're serious? Marcus asked. Completely. I love you. I love Lily. I want this life, this family, this chaotic, complicated, beautiful mess. So yes. If you ask, the answer is yes. Marcus looked at his daughter. What do you think, Ellie? I think you should marry her before she changes her mind. I'm not changing my mind, Victoria said. But I would like an actual proposal at some point. Not just my 9-year-old matchmaker doing it for you. Marcus laughed, pulled Victoria close. Give me a week to do it right. A week? I'm traditional. I need to buy a ring, plan something, make it memorable. You don't have to. I want to. You gave up your company for me. The least I can do is propose properly. 1 week later, Marcus took Victoria back to Phoenix Global, to the mechanical room where it all started, where she'd made a bet, where he'd fixed a generator and changed both their lives. "Why here?" she asked. "Because this is where you first saw me. Really saw me. Not as maintenance, not as furniture, but as a person, as someone competent and worthy and real. Everything started here. Seems right to end it here too." "End it?" He knelt down, pulled out a ring. Simple. Gold. Nothing flashy. "Victoria Chase, 4 months ago, you bet me I couldn't fix a generator. I did. You offered me a kiss. I said no. Asked for respect instead. You gave me that and so much more. You gave me hope, purpose, love. You changed my daughter's life, changed mine, made me believe that second chances exist, that broken things can be fixed, that love isn't weakness, it's the only strength that really matters." He swallowed hard. "I'm terrified. Terrified I'm not enough. Terrified you'll realize you gave up too much. Terrified I'll fail you. But I'm more terrified of not trying, of letting fear win. So I'm asking, will you marry me? Will you take a chance on this broke single dad with a sick kid and more baggage than any person should have to carry?" Victoria was crying. Full-on ugly crying. "You idiot. You're not broke. You're rich in every way that matters. And yes, I'll marry you. Yes to all of it." He slid the ring on her finger, stood up, kissed her in the mechanical room where she'd once tried to humiliate him and instead found her humanity. They were married 3 months later. Small ceremony, just family and friends, Lily as maid of honor, Sarah as witness, Victoria's mother in the front row crying and proud. Victoria wore a simple white dress. Marcus wore a suit he'd bought at Target. The officiant was a retired Navy chaplain who'd served with Marcus in Afghanistan. "Do you, Victoria Chase, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "I do, absolutely, without question, forever." "And do you, Marcus Reed, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, all of it." "Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." He did, to applause and cheers and Lily's loud declaration that she was finally getting the mom she deserved. At the reception, Sarah gave a toast. To Victoria and Marcus, 2 people who proved that love doesn't care about tax brackets or org charts or any of the artificial barriers we build to keep ourselves separate. You showed us that competence isn't about credentials, that strength isn't about money, that family isn't about blood. You showed us how to be human, how to choose each other, how to fix what's broken instead of throwing it away. To the couple who fixed each other when everyone else said you were impossible. They danced, ate cake, celebrated. Later, Marcus found Victoria on the balcony. "Having regrets yet? Not even a little. You? Only that I didn't say yes when you offered to kiss me that first day. You wanted respect instead. Got it. Then fell in love. That's better. Much better." He pulled her close. "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me, for choosing me, for loving Lily like she's yours, for being brave enough to give up everything and start over." "I didn't give up anything that mattered. I gained everything that does." She looked up at him. "You know what the funny thing is?" "What?" "That day in the conference room when I made that bet, I thought I was in control. Thought I was using you to solve my problem. Turns out you were using me to solve yours." "What problem was that?" "You needed to remember you were more than just a single dad struggling to survive. You needed to remember you were brilliant, capable, worthy of respect. I gave you a stage to prove that. You gave me a reason to be better. We saved each other." "That's a nice story." "It's not a story. It's the truth." She kissed him. "We fixed each other. One circuit at a time. One choice at a time. One moment of bravery at a time. That's what love is. Showing up with your tools and your scars and your broken pieces and saying, I can work with this. I can make this whole." 2 years later, Lily was 11 and thriving. Her diabetes was managed. Her robotics skills had earned her a full scholarship to a STEM academy. She'd built a glucose monitoring system that was now being tested in clinical trials. Victoria and Marcus ran a consulting firm together. Small, ethical, focused on helping companies build better cultures, better treatment of workers, better balance between profit and people. They lived in a house now, not a mansion, just a house. With a yard for Lily, and a workshop for Marcus, and an office for Victoria. One evening they sat on the back porch, watching Lily work on her latest project. "Do you ever miss it?" Marcus asked. "The company, the power, the corner office." "Never. You." "The Navy sometimes. But then I look at Lily and remember why I left. Presence beats glory every time. We're very ordinary now, you know. Middle-class family in the suburbs. Nobody's writing articles about us anymore." "Good. I prefer being invisible. Except to me. Except to you." He kissed her. "Thank you for that. For seeing me when I was invisible to everyone else. Thank you for teaching me how to see, how to be human, how to choose love over everything else." Lily looked back at them. "Are you two being gross again?" "Probably," Victoria called back. "Well, stop. I'm trying to focus." They laughed, held each other, watched their daughter build impossible things with her brilliant mind and her father's persistent determination. And Victoria thought about that day in the conference room, about the bet she'd made, about the maintenance man who'd asked for respect instead of a kiss. He'd gotten both eventually. The respect, the kiss, the love, the life. They'd fixed each other. Two broken people who'd found their missing pieces in the last place anyone expected. In grease-stained hands and calloused palms, and the quiet dignity of someone who shows up every single day and does the work and refuses to quit. That was love. That was strength. That was everything that mattered. And it was more than enough.